we have some fun topics that we want to get to. And I want to ask one that I think is on a lot of people's minds. And this is something I've actually been thinking about. Is InArt losing momentum? And the way I want to ask this question is because
100%. Yeah.
yes, and that's Dean, and that's why I want to have this conversation. I'll ask the chat. I'll put a poll up for you guys, but I'm just going to share, some InArt figures on spec here. Every InArt figure that is currently on pre-order or whatever, right? So the way I kind of want to phrase this question, as amazing as the Joker has turned out for the people who do have it, for the people who don't, Godspeed. It's going to show up here soon, right? Over the next month or so, I expect most people, if not all people, to have theirs. I know Kit had said the sculpted one should be completely released by, I think, the next couple weeks. Then he's going to post the leftover stock that he has. As far as the rooted, might take a little bit longer, but it's going to come soon. That said, there's I think 5 or 6 InArt figures on pre-order now. We got the whole phase 1 list, right? And then, of course, we have, other figures that were teased that they talked about. There was an Asian character that they teased, which wasn't on the list. And InArt had everyone's attention. But I'm wondering if they're starting to lose a little bit of momentum, not because of the quality, but because of how slow they are. Because of how slow they are and how, they're focused on production for the Joker right now, clearly. But at the end of the day, people want to see new shit. They want to see exciting new prototypes. They want to see releases for other figures as well. And InArt is maintaining that high quality, which at the end of the day is what we want. Ultimately, that's the most important thing. But as far as staying in the eyes of collectors and the attention of collectors, it's become problematic because they're not doing a lot right now besides producing Jokers. So they're kind of, Hot Toys is just producing all this stuff and they're staying in the news, and InArt's just silently sliding under the radar. So we all get very excited every time there's an InArt drop, but it's because they've made really good characters. Harry Potter is a very popular character, but I'm interested to see how excited people get about it when it drops. That said, Keco, do you think InArt is losing a little bit of momentum here? Because this is, I don't know, maybe how quiet they are is maybe a bad thing. What do you think?
They've lost me completely, and I'm being honest and not trying to just be just that stick in the mud being bitchy. Originally, when they were announced, they said, all right, we're InArt, we're for Queen Studios, look at us, we got a track record. And I know you had the interview, with the InArt people not too long ago, Will, and I'm not trying to discredit anything, that they said. Yeah. But here is somebody that is wanting a figure in hand, who does not have figure in hand, who's paid in full to have figure in hand, still doesn't have figure in hand. So that's frustrating, because here's what they said when they originally came out, is that we're going to give you the premium Cadillac version of what a 6-scale figure would be. Here is the Dark Knight Joker. This is the way it should be. This is the way 6-scale figure collecting should be. Look at all of our stuff. And we got really hyped about that. And then they're like, you know what the best part is? This is coming out in 6 to 7 months. Everyone's like, oh, wow, can't believe it. And they're like, are they going to be able to produce this on a wide scale? Is that possible? Can they do this? And then they had the little Las Vegas event and they brought prototypes and they're like, yeah, check these out. Look at this. Do you like this? And then we saw all the reviews and they're like, wow, this is actually pretty good. Then they started to make some new offerings. Like, okay, here's Pennywise, here's Gandalf, here is Aragorn, here's Batman, here's Bruce, here's an update to Bruce. But yeah, we're still trying to figure out this Joker thing, so we'll get back to you. And for me, when I saw the, I guess, phase 1 list, I know they've talked about this, and feel free to jump in here, Will, about the phase 1 reissue or reorder or whatever you want to call it. I remember when they announced the initial list, it had it on there, and we were speculating, oh, is this going to be the Tim Curry Pennywise? That's going to be cool. We saw that there was Batfleck. We saw Mira. We saw Game of Thrones figures. Like, oh, this is so cool. Even when we did the Joker giveaway, and we were talking about when is the next, when are you guys going to do a female character? They can't do that. I want to see the InArt Daenerys. That's one thing I'm really looking forward to. InArt Daenerys win. We chatted about that, but I'm a little burnt out because I have nothing to say, oh, wow, this is worth waiting on, because I don't have anything. And a majority of people are probably sitting here saying, okay, that was nice. Now what's next? Because we're a very fast-moving society. We lose interest quick. Think about, Endgame was the height of the cinematic universe, 4 years ago. And now people can't even get, paid to go see a Marvel movie right now, which is interesting. People lose interest really, really quick. And I'm this close. I don't think I will. I'm this close to possibly canceling my InArt Joker because I'm tired of waiting. I'm ready to move on to the next thing. And I'm a little miffed right now, to be honest.
Don't cancel Keco, because I can say when you get it in hand, you're going to love it. So as far as the
That's what
quality is
everyone
concerned,
says, but
you
And you
will,
can
you
flip
will.
it for more if you really.
Well, yeah, you will, but I think this is, and I know Keco, this is sometimes tougher for collectors, but this is the ultimate patience figure. So I totally get it. If I had a later batch like you, and again, like I got the figure a little bit early, so again, I'm willing to, concede that point. But as far as waiting, I get it, man. If I had to wait as long as you did, and I was really, really excited about this figure, I would be very frustrated too. I'd be very frustrated. But at the end of the day, InArt is clearly still new to 1/6, and they clearly don't have the production to keep making them super, super fast. So to maintain the quality and the QC that they want to maintain, this is going to be tough. And this is going to be something that I think maybe we're going to have to just accept, because I think this is, this is pretty much set the precedent.
Well, if they are, there's two options for this, and I'll let Dean jump in here. There's two options. They can either hire more people to speed up production, which is one of the things we've talked about with Magikase, and that was a different situation.
Yeah, but you're right. Same thing. Yep.
Ramp up the production, because the more product they sell, the more money they make. So, I mean, that seems like a pretty good trade-off. Or if you say, you know what, we can't scale right now, put a cap on the limit of figures that they're going to put out there, saying, okay, only 1,000, you guys can fight it out amongst yourselves. But, then that way we know there's the exclusivity. You're not having to worry about where's my batch. When the 1,000 are done, they're done, that type of thing. I would be okay with that. I am, and people say, well, it's different for everybody, I don't want to pay a lot of money. Knowing that there's only this many and I can obtain it, I'm willing to pay that. And I've talked about, if something is important to you, you find a way to make it happen. You're like, I really want this. Okay, I'm going to forego a couple figures because I want this figure, and you make it happen. And so maybe they need to scale back on the number that they're doing. Maybe they took too many pre-orders and they're just trying to dig out. I don't think the demand is going to be as high for the other figures. Obviously, the Joker's the Joker, the most iconic villain potentially of all time. I get that. So I don't know, just some things to think about, but that's where I'm at.
Well, I think for future productions, it's going to be way simpler, because for Pennywise, for example, it might be 1,000 or less, right? But this Joker is maybe 15 to 20,000, something like that. So it's a hell of a lot more, because they led with their heavy hitter. This is the most popular character that they had probably, and they went with it first. So, and it makes sense. And I think they know they had to deliver on this figure. So at the end of the day, I think, again, the quality is really, really good, and people are going to be I don't want people to cancel, because when you get it in hand, you're going to be really happy with it. But it's just a matter of being patient, and that sucks because it's hard, and I get it. And sometimes, with Loki and Pennywise from Hot Toys, I felt those same things, Keco, that you felt, because those figures were like 3 years. Like, it was a really long time, and that's not what this was, obviously. But, at the end of the day, it's, but I want to get Dean in here. Dean, so what do you think about this? Is InArt losing momentum? To me, it's almost like, again, I think they are a little bit slow with the Joker and the batch system. I get that. I know people have pointed that out in the chat. To me, it's the lack of new things. Like, where's the Daenerys or the Nazgul or Legolas or Paul Atreides, or like all these figures that were kind of teased, and we're hearing nothing about them. And as much, as I love InArt and John, it's like we're hearing so little about them. And it just kind of makes me wonder. I'm like, well, where, what happened to the updates? And I know they're working hard on production for Joker, but I don't know. Dean, what do you think about all this?
Yeah, God, it's tough, man. Because
it's tough.
They came out swinging. They came out saying, we're here to be the best and deliver you the best. But being the best isn't just being the prettiest, right? Like, you're not the most affordable, so you got to make up for that somewhere. And the speed at which these figures are not only coming out, which so far is 4 months later than it was supposed to. It was Q4 2022, right? Now we're coming up to Q2 2023, and this figure's still not in 90% of collectors' hands. That's not good. That's not a good sign. So not only is the figures that you announced still not out, that gives me zero hope for the figures that have already been put up for pre-order, and really no hope for figures that haven't even been shown yet. So yeah, their momentum has just gone out the window, dude. I honestly got sick of talking about InArt a long time ago on my show. It was like, what's the fucking point? Like, we still don't have anything. It's like, you could show us all the pretty pictures you want, Now, when the figure started hitting people's hands, I was the first one to say, "Damn, that's impressive." You know, I got them pegged wrong, you know, from the start, and I admit that. But I mean, at now at this point, it's like, okay, but that wasn't good enough, you know, to keep our attention and to keep us, you know, chomping at the bit. Because now it's just kind of like, okay, well, now we've been talking about the Joker for a year now, and what's next? People aren't even getting, you know, Gandalf incoming emails, right? How fucking long are we going to be waiting on that guy, you know? So, yeah, dude, just they've kind of, the wind has gone out of those sails a long time ago for me.
Interesting. Yeah, because I don't think the wind's gone out of the sails for me entirely. I'm just thinking, you know, as far
Yeah,
as
but you got your figure.
right, I do, but I'm saying
know.
more so for yeah, and I understand that, but I'm saying more so in the realm of staying relevant in terms of what they're offering, because the pre-orders are really keeping people's attention. Those, like, I know the Joker, whether they're arriving or not, like when they released this Aragorn, everyone forgot the Joker was basically even in production. People were like, the internet like lost all their shit about this Aragorn. So I think if InArt was, that's what Hot Toys does, which is why people forget about things being delayed for 2 or 3 years, because there's a new Bane out, right? And that's what happens.
The only reason I pointed out that you have your figure is because you have that tangible excitement. You can go to your collection and be like, damn, InArt really is killing it. And so for you to still be excited, like, it's like, yeah, of course you're excited.
Right.
But
that's fair.
For 90% of people, it's like they don't have that yet. And it's like, until they, like you said, once you have it in hands, you're going to love it, which I have no doubt. I know people are going to fall in love with it. But it's like, when is that?
I do think, but Dean, you are right. And I think there could be maybe some criticism of the batch system. It's almost like if you have, why do the batches at all? It's almost like just release them all at once.
Yeah.
Like,
honestly, if you're going to do batches, which I know it's kind of shitty, but it's like the rooted ones obviously take more time.
Right.
Do all the easy ones first. And it's like, if you want the premium best one, you're going to have to wait. But let's get all this like normal, regular edition figures out of the way first.
And that's where I'm at 100% with this, is that I tried to say it in chat. It didn't come out the way I wanted it. Everyone is, like you were talking with about Loki, everyone was waiting on that Loki to release.
Right.
Everyone. It's not like, well, some guys have Loki and Will doesn't. You know, that's the way it is with these Jokers. Some people have them, some people don't. I understand it's the batch system. I'm not an idiot. I understand how it works. But I'm just saying it's not a good idea for that. And did we not talk about on one of the streams, and maybe I just made this up, I was talking with Nick from OSW Wrestling, by the way. I was talking with Nick because he's waiting on his Joker too. And I was talking about how even at like theme parks, you know, I buy the fast pass because I don't want to wait. That's just the way I am. Did we talk about that they offered an option to where you have a tier-based, like paying in to get ahead of the line type of thing? Was that a thing? Did I imagine
I don't
that?
think so.
Or
Not
that's something they would ever consider?
I don't think so. Not that I
would anybody be up for that? I mean, I would be.
Well, I mean,
I'm sure a lot of people would.
Well, because Keco, for the longest time, what's happened with this InArt thing is pretty much how it was with Hot Toys until Sideshow started getting them faster. Like that, you remember, because, you know, for the longest time, remember how long Endgame Cap took? Like that thing was out in Hong Kong. Remember that, Dean? And it took maybe 4 to 5 months. Like it took a long time because the ports were all fucked up because of COVID. Yeah, and then same with non-Chrome Mando, the deluxe Beskar Mando. That's the same thing that happened with that one. I remember it came out, and then like Justin reviewed it, and I didn't have it in my hand for like 3 to 4 months after that. So until Sideshow started saying, okay, we need to compete with companies like Toys Wonderland who are going to get people these figures because we don't have them, that's when it changed. But that's why the batch system, I do agree with. Maybe there's something I don't know as far as production that, you know, we're not privy to. But I don't know, man. The batch system, I feel like, is creating a little bit of an issue just because a lot of people, like you said, Keco, they have it, and then some people don't, and it creates this sort of frustration. And I think that's for a very anticipated high demand figure. And that's what I would say. So at the end of the day, I do think, to me, honestly, you can distract people, as bad as that sounds. That's what Hot Toys does. That's what all these companies do. You can distract people by putting new shit up. Like
that's what I got fucking dragged for saying this on my show, but I was like, stop announcing new shit and just start putting shit out. Because
Right.
like it's we're still waiting several years for a lot of these figures. Like you mentioned the Clone Trooper earlier, or
Right.
whatever figure you want to point out at Hot Toys. It's like we're still waiting for these things, and you keep announcing new stuff, which I know is taking away from production on something else. It has to, right? You don't have unlimited employees. But then you look at InArt, it's like, well, they're not announcing anything. And it's like, I don't even know what to think anymore. My mind's all over the place. It's like, damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Right. And Dean, are we too entitled as collectors? Are we asking for too much?
I just came to that conclusion right now.
we
I was
are.
like,
I know
I
I
might
am.
be in
Well, see,
I
that's
might
the
be
thing. And again, and I thought about this even before this topic. And because we want high quality, we want it fast, we want new things, we want communication, we demand a lot. So at the end of the day, I mean,
we're also paying a lot.
we are paying a lot. We are high paying customers, especially for these NR figures. But it's not, again, when you get the Joker in hand, I know it's frustrating, but when you get it in hand, they delivered. They delivered something really exceptional, and you're gonna love it. And I get the frustration, because trust me, I would feel the same. But it's just a matter of getting it to your hands. And I think these are where the growing pains happen, because they're not U.S. licensed and they don't have Sideshow. If they had Sideshow kind of overseeing this distribution stuff, I think things would run a little bit smoother. So I'm hoping over time that's what happens for InArt, because that's going to make their lives a hell of a lot easier. So, because right now we're relying on some great resellers and other places, but if you have a big dog like Sideshow, they can take the brunt of this and they can handle it for you. That's their job. So I don't know. But anyway, we got some super chats real quick. OG fan when Star Wars was just Star Wars. Thanks so much, bro. Again, I guess InArt is winning because here we are a year later with barely one figure released, the most energy expended on a single figure I've ever seen. Yeah, it's got to be. But that's, again, the product is so good, people are willing to, overlook these type of things just because, or at least deal with these type of things because the figure is that good. If it were a shit figure, then everyone would have moved on already. So OG fan, thank you so much, bro. I appreciate the super chat. Benner Benny said the other figures have lower pre-orders. Yeah, I think they will pick up the pace after the Joker and the Batman figure, not to make an excuse for them. Yeah, I agree. I think they will too, because the Joker was by far their highest PO.
Yeah, that is a possibility.
Yeah, it definitely is. I think that's going to be the case, Dean. So, but thank you so much, Benner Benny. Appreciate that, bro. But I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. And I think we got another super chat here. Thank you so much, Carlos. I think they have a thin margin of error. We're only putting up with the wait/slow announcements because most protos are 10 out of 10. But if they don't deliver every single time at release, they're done. So yeah, maybe we are entitled and we're asking for too much because I don't know.
But they also came out of nowhere saying they were going to do this. No one was asking for InArt to fucking be the best. They were just like, hey guys, guess what? We're going to be the best. And it's like, now we have that expectation. Like, we didn't force them to do this. You know what I mean?
Right. And, and thank you so much, Carlos, for the super chat, bro. And I don't know if this is our Carlos or not. Is it? I don't know. I think so.
I don't know.
He has an Iron Man logo.
It is an Iron Man.
Yeah, so Carlos, you're gonna have to out yourself at some point if that is you. But yeah, but anyway, Riley also had a good comment. Kit, and again, I love Kit 16 Kit. Apparently, the sculpted Jokers are being all done and released in the next 2 weeks. So yeah, and that's the final batch. So that's really great. We got another super chat. OG fan, thank you so much, bro. Hot Toys released 65 figures last year. Distraction. Yeah, they did release 65 figures, but I'm wondering how many they put up for PO and how many of those figures were delayed.
Right.
How many of those figures should have come out 6 months before they did? And that's more my point. They're releasing a lot of figures. They also have greater production and,